Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis, and today we are talking about power pop. Oh, I love power pop music. Um, I like virtually everything. I mean, there are very few musical forms that I don't care for. Yeah, opera is the only thing that I will just completely discount right off the bat. I am not interested in listening to opera. I'd rather have a root canal, and that is not comic hyperbole. I can't stand listening to opera. But apart from that, I'm open to just about anything. And I regularly go down rabbit holes, right? I'll have a period where I'll listen to a lot of, jazz. I'll have a period where I'll listen to a lot of, psychedelic rock. I'll have a period where I listen to prog rock. I'll have a period where I listen to country, right? I'll go down these different rabbit holes. But after I've been down the rabbit hole for a while, I come back out and I always return to power pop. Power pop is the primary type of music that I identify with, that I listen to. And there are a lot of videos out there about power pop. And one of the things that I've noticed as I watch these videos is that to a certain extent, power pop is something of a Rorschach test. I mean, what is power pop? Well, power pop is music that I like, and then they give you all these characteristics of the music, and then they give you examples that don't always live up to the characteristics. Generally, though, if we're looking for the operating definition that I'm using here, power pop music is music that is guitar driven. I will admit that yes, it is possible to have keyboard-driven power pop music, but I don't think of that as power pop. That's just going to be pop music, right? The main distinction I would draw, for example, between power pop and new wave in the late 70s, early 80s, is that power pop is guitar-centric and new wave is keyboard-centric, okay? But it's guitar-driven. It's very well-crafted pop. And when I say well-crafted, I mean that there are recognizable riffs in the guitar work, hooky melodic lines in the tune. It tends to be upbeat in terms of tempo. Most of the people who define power pop will also say that it also tends to be downbeat in terms of the lyrics, but then they give you the classics of power pop, that include things like songs by Badfinger, and I'm very sorry that the only physical Badfinger I have is a compilation, the very best of Badfinger. The albums that I've got of theirs I've got in digital format, which I can't really throw up here. They use examples like Todd Rundgren. They use examples of Get the Knack, Fountains of Wayne, right? These are the things that we normally think of when we think of power pop. And when we're thinking of these songs, when we're thinking of Go All the Way by the Raspberries, we're thinking about I Saw the Light by Todd Rundgren, we're thinking about My Sharona by the Knack, we're thinking about anything off of Fountains of Wayne. Stacy's Mom, if we want to fast forward to their big hit. None of these are downbeat lyrics. So, yeah, I don't think that you have to have, I don't think you have to be a pining lyricist to do power pop music. Power pop is more about the up-tempo, upbeat, guitar-driven, hooky, riffy pop music. Okay? And I love well-crafted pop music. So yes, I love power pop. So we're going to talk about power pop today. I'm going to give you a sampler. I mean, I'm posting it as a top 10 power pop albums, but it's not really a top 10. These are just 10 albums that I really, really like, and that pretty much give you the boundaries of what I think of as power pop. I am working on a more definitive list of power pop works. That's coming down the pike. This is like stage one. When I say power pop, what do I mean? So these are my 10 identifiable power pop albums. This is creating the genre here, creating the boundaries for the genre. Some of these albums you're going to recognize. They are classics of the genre. Some of them are ones that you wouldn't necessarily think of, but I think of them as power pop. And some of them are going to be albums I'm hoping that you've never heard of, so that you've got now some suggestions for things that you can add to your listening list if you like. Before we get into my 10 power pop gems, though, we've got the subjectivity notice. All artistic appreciation is inherently subjective. There is no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad art. There is only art that I like and art that I do not like. And as long as we keep that in mind, this is a wonderful conversation. This is people who enjoy an art form talking about that art form. Always wonderful, always happy, always informative. Everything goes off the rails as soon as somebody involved in the conversation gets hung up on being objectively wrong or objectively right. No such thing. This is all a matter of opinion. It's all subject to personal taste. Okay, here are my 10. Here is my sampler. My 10 power pop albums that pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, define what power pop is. I want to be careful here. I am not saying these are the 10 best power pop. Excuse me, he said while he's belching into his microphone. I'm not saying these are the 10 best power pop albums. I'm saying these are 10 really good ones that typify the genre. Okay? Okay. That being said, my first album from 1979 is a fairly commonly recognized classic of the genre, and that is The Records by The Records. Let me see. I guess that's about as good as it's going to get. This is the American release. In the UK, it was released as Shades in Bed. The tracks are in a different order, but it's essentially the same album. And this is, oh boy, is this good! This is power pop. Most people who do a power pop video, if they're talking about the great power pop albums of all time, this one's going to be in the list, and rightfully so. This is a fantastic album. It deserves to be on this list, if only for the song "Starry Eyes," which is just brilliant. Oh, The Records, 1979, The Records. I love it. That's the first one. Second one, another fairly commonly cited classic of the genre from 1981, and that's Rick Springfield's Working Class Dog. I loved Working Class Dog when it first came out. Jesse's Girl was a huge hit. And as soon as I heard that on the radio, I thought, okay, I got to listen to the rest of that. And I bought it, and I had it on cassette until the cassette wore out. Then I bought another cassette until it wore out. Then I bought another cassette several years later. It wore out, and I finally got it on CD. I've never owned a vinyl copy of Working Class Dog. I love this album. Jesse's Girl is great. I've Done Everything for You is great. Love Is All Right Tonight, great. Oh, this is just a great album. Guitar riffs aplenty, melodic hooks aplenty. Oh. Oh. Love Rick Springfield. Coming in at number 3. Got to be careful because my list isn't actually numbered, so I'm having to count as I go. Coming in at number 3, one of my favorite bands. We all have favorite bands that we like that we assume everybody else likes. We all have favorite bands that we like that we assume very few people know about or like. And this is one of the latter. I have always loved the Greg Kihn Band. And I have always been among the few people that I know of who is familiar with a lot of the Greg Kihn Band. When you say the Greg Kihn Band to anybody who is of a certain vintage, obviously we're thinking about the breakup song, They Don't Write 'Em Like That Anymore. We're thinking about Jeopardy. It is just as likely, though, that people my age will not just think of Greg Kihn's Jeopardy, they'll also think of Weird Al Yankovic's parody, I Lost on Jeopardy. Very few people are doing deep dives on the Greg Kihn Band, but I'm one of them. Coming in at my third album here is Rock and Roll by the Greg Kihn Band. This is the album that had They Don't Write 'Em, the breakup song, They Don't Write 'Em. It's also got The Girl Most Likely was the first single released off this album. That was the one that I heard that made me want to buy the album. It's got wonderful songs. Can't Stop Hurting Myself is great. Oh, When the Music Starts. Oh, I love that song. Oh, Greg Kihn Band. Oh, wonderful power pop. Okay, what's up next? What's up next? Number 4. This is... Okay, I think it's power pop. I think you could also say it's new wave. And here's where I was saying earlier, to me, the main difference, when we're talking about late 70s, early 80s, the main difference between power pop and new wave is that power pop is guitar-based, new wave is keyboard-based, synthesizer-based. So, yeah, I think Joe Jackson's I'm the Man is a power pop album. I think his first album, Look Sharp, is a power pop album. These songs are guitar-driven. Now, granted, they're bass guitar-driven, but it's guitar-driven. And I'm the Man is just a wonderful little pop album. On Your Radio is great. It's Different for Girls. Oh, I love that song. The title track, I'm the Man, Friday, is great. We've got a couple of just straight up pop tunes on here. Get That Girl and Kinda Cute. I mean, come on. Gotta love Joe Jackson. Come on. Good power pop. Okay. Speaking of artists that you wouldn't necessarily think of as a power pop artist, although if you've seen my video about this artist, you will know that I think that the reason I like this artist is that they are a very strong power pop band, and that is, of course, Kiss. And I'm particularly talking about their 1980 album, Unmasked. Oh my God, is this thing a power pop gem. Most Kiss albums from their original run, from their debut album up through, Unmasked, Music from the Elder, that area. Most Kiss albums have, a handful of really good power pop songs on them. Rock and Roll All Night, their big single before Beth came along, is a power pop song, I would argue. Unmasked is Kiss embracing, or at least Paul Stanley embracing power pop, and in the process creating one of my favorite albums. This is just a gem of an album. Tomorrow is a perfect power pop song. You're All That I Want by Gene Simmons, perfect power pop song. Oh, I love Unmasked. Okay. Now we're getting into stuff that is lesser known. Still, people know. I'm not saying that these are artists that you've never heard of, but we don't have any more working class dogs in here. Okay. Coming up next, I've got Little White Lies by the band Fastball. Fastball is a really good. They're a power trio, but it's power pop. The borderline between power pop and just straight up pop rock. But they've got a lot of good power pop songs. The title track on this is one of my favorite power pop tunes that they do. Fastball I also like because the international headquarters for Pop and X Music is San Antonio, Texas, and Fastball hails from Austin, which is just an hour up the road from here. So, local boys done good. Okay, coming in at number whatever the hell we're up to now, because I haven't been counting. Number 7. I thought about putting some Bare Naked Ladies on the list here, and I held back because there are individual songs that are power pop songs throughout the Bare Naked Ladies catalog, but mostly what they do is just straight up pop rock. And I can talk about them here, but I can also just talk about them, and so, coming soon to a YouTube screen near you will be top 10 albums by the Bare Naked Ladies, if not a full album ranking. It's coming. It's in process. But I do want to call attention to Stephen Page, who used to be the front man for Bare Naked Ladies, and then left / was fired from the band, depending on what source you're reading, and started a solo career. And this was, I think, if memory serves, this was his first full-length solo album after leaving Bare Naked Ladies. This is Page 1 from 2010. And this is a really, really good album. Particularly, it has the track Indecision. Look up Stephen Page's Indecision. That is power pop. Stephen Page, power pop. Love Stephen Page. I mean, I love Ed Robertson, don't get me wrong, but in the power pop part, yeah, that's Stephen Page. Coming in at number 8. I didn't put Fountains of Wayne on my list because, everybody thinks of Fountains of Wayne when they think of power pop, but I've kind of snuck part of Fountains of Wayne in the back door because next on my list is Tinted Windows, the power pop supergroup that is Adam Schlesinger on bass and keyboards as he did for Fountains of Wayne. Taylor Hanson on vocals, James Iha, I think it's Iha. Guitarist from the Smashing Pumpkins is the guitarist. Bun E. Carlos, the king of power pop drumming, as the drummer. And they did this one album, and it is fantastic. It's well worth the ticket price. If you can find a copy of Tinted Windows, pick up Tinted Windows. Wonderful power pop album. Okay, my last two are the real dark horses here. These last two albums are the reason I'm doing this video. I'm doing this video so that I can stump a little bit for power pop, so that I can start, for my first goal in doing the video was presenting my definition of power pop, and I gave a half-assed, very general definition to start with, but I'm counting on the music to mark the boundaries here. But the other reason I'm doing this video is so that I've got a chance to talk about these next two albums. If and when I get around to doing my 10 favorite power pop albums of all time, these two albums are going to be on that list. Coming in number 9 on today's list is from 2008, the album Insides Out by Jordan Zevon. Warren Zevon's son recorded this album, like I said, 2008, and it is stellar. Oh, if you like power pop and you have not heard Insides Out, track down a copy of this thing and listen to it. Oh my God, is it good. The Joke's on Me is a fantastic track. Don't have my glasses on, and that's awfully small print. This Girl is great. Just Do That is great. Camilla Rhodes is, oh my God, is that great. American Standard, great. Oh, every song a gem. This is very nearly a perfect album. And it just breaks my heart that he hasn't done any more. The only other thing that I have found that he has released is the bonus track that was cut off of this at the last minute, called Angel. You can also find that, and it should have been on the album because it's just as good as everything that's on here. Fantastic music. I wish he would have stuck to it. Jordan Zevon, Insides Out. Let me hold that so where you can see it a little bit better. I realized I've just been kind of flailing it around. There we go. That's a pretty good shot. Strongly recommended. My other strongly recommended album that, unless you live in Southern California, you may not lived in Southern California 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you may not know. And this is from 1999. The album is Pure Genius, and the band is the Friendly Indians. There we go. You can see my keyboard, but still. We got the spork on the cover. The Friendly Indians. I do songs by the Friendly Indians in my sets whenever I'm playing. And when people ask me who they are, I always tell them, okay, if you've ever seen the USA cable series Psych, James Roday, Dule Hill, James Roday portrays Sean Spencer, who has a detective agency where he pretends to be psychic to explain how he knows the things that he knows that he has just picked up because he's extremely observant to small detail. It's a wonderful show. It's a funny show. Was created and produced by a gentleman named Steve Franks, who also wrote the theme song, I Know You Know That I'm Not Telling the Truth. I know you know. It just can't happen. That thing. Steve Franks was the front man for Friendly Indians. Friendly Indians recorded the theme song for Psych. And this is a perfect power pop album. Oh my God. Spin is wonderful. Optimistic is great. Acceptance Speech. I love Acceptance Speech. It's got a wonderful, very bitter sense of humor to it. Genius is perfect. Oh, track down a copy of Pure Genius. I'm fairly certain you can stream it. Oh, listen to this thing. Oh, this is power pop. So when I'm talking about power pop, these are the kinds of things I'm talking about. It's guitar driven, it's riffy, it's hooky, it's catchy, it's toe tappy, it's snappy. The songs themselves are well constructed, and it's just, this is the soundtrack of my life. This is the music that I hear in my head as I'm walking down the street. I'm not hearing Staying Alive. I'm hearing Genius from the Friendly Indians. So that's what I think about power. This is my sampler of power pop albums. What do you think? Are there albums that you think I should have on here that mark the boundaries of power pop that I left off? There are plenty. Go ahead, list them below. Let's get a list going. Give me some potential albums to include when I finally do generate my 10 greatest power pop albums of all time list, because that will come. I appreciate you sticking it out this long. If you enjoyed this video, and I assume you did if you've stuck it out this long, I'd appreciate it if you'd click the like button below. Go ahead and click the subscribe if you have not already done so, and click that notification icon while you're at it. Do the hat trick. Why not? Life is short, right? Thanks again for watching, and I hope that the rest of your day is uneventful. See you soon.